Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Planet Waves TV. It has been a while. I am happy to be back with you in visual video form where you can sort of see my face, which I don't really like to show off that much. All right, so I'm here on the occasion of the total solar eclipse in Pisces. That happens a little bit before 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday night, the 8th day of March. I love eclipses. Eclipses are turning points. They are concentrations of experience, and they are the best kind of what you might think of as watershed moments in our lives quite often. So by watershed moment, I mean that things are one way on, getting my hands back, on one side of the eclipse, and they're another way on the other side of the eclipse. And so a watershed is like a basin in the land where everything that happens inside that basin is like its own almost self-contained environment. And once we cross the threshold of an eclipse, we have entered into a kind of a new watershed. And so I mean that kind of literally, given that the sign involved in is Pisces, and there's a lot of planets. There are a lot of planets in water sign Pisces right now, and that is definitely having an influence on people. One thing about a lot of Pisces energy is that it can be confusing and it can be overwhelming. It's not really easy to pinpoint the meaning or the definition of Pisces energy. It's not easy to contain or to define, and so a lot of what you may be experiencing involves something that in many ways defies definition or easy categorization. But that's the nature of Pisces, and in some ways that is the nature of an eclipse, which I would characterize a few different ways. Eclipses, wherever they happen, involve a concentration of experience. So more happens in a shorter time, and it can feel like a lot is happening. It can feel like more is happening than you can handle. Eclipses can also have a kind of a predestined or fated feeling, like what happens around the time of an eclipse was somehow meant to happen. Additionally, there is the release point that's involved in an eclipse, where there is the exchange of something old for something new. That relates to the watershed property, but there is a lot of this releasing and embracing involved in the current Pisces eclipse. And I'd like to just show you, my crack graphics department has come up with another one of these awesome storyboards. It's literally a board that has a story on it. Right side up? Yes. Okay, good. And if you'll notice, first of all, there's not enough room for all of us on the screen here. If you'll notice, this whole cluster of planets is what is currently occupying Pisces. And there's actually more in here than could fit on the chart. I've put the south node of the moon here. We know that's there because where there's an eclipse, there's a node of the moon. And then there's all these planets, which I've been writing about fairly regularly. And then there is an extra one. There's Boracisi here. Boracisi is the thing about coming out of denial, also a good theme for an eclipse in Pisces, with or without Boracisi. And then finally, Memoria. It's exactly conjunct the eclipse. If you'll notice that Memoria is at 1838, and the eclipse is at 1856. So this is a really remarkable alignment of this total solar eclipse with an asteroid called Memoria. And Memoria is about remembering. Memoria is about remembering things so well that you don't need to read your notes. You don't need to have crib sheet with Memoria involved. But I think that there is a special moment of remembering that this eclipse is about. And the way I described it last night in a blog post on planetwaves.net, called The Great Unveiling, is that there is something that we really need to remember. We really need to think this through and go within and think about the thing it is that we need to remember the most right now. Maybe something personal that you have somehow let slip your mind, that you've forgotten about, that you have neglected in some way. And the other thing represented by a minor planet in this eclipse is Borisisi, and to my thinking, Borisisi is saying, come out of denial. There's no need to be in this much denial, and there's no need to tell yourself little lies that ease the way and make you happier. You can live more productively, more fruitfully, more engaged with life, having faith in the truth of what is real for you and what is really happening in the world right now. And a lot is really happening in the world right now. A lot is happening around us. I think the whole sensation that is surrounding the political campaigns, particularly of Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, where these two people on opposite ends of the political spectrum have these campaigns that are really populist going, that they're supported by common ideas of people. And though these are very different candidates, that is the one thing that both of them have in common. But I think there's something bigger happening now, a lot bigger than any normal election year, any normal eclipse, any normal time in history. And part of why I'm saying that is because I think that to my kind of direct involvement knowledge of American history, which goes back to about 1980. Everything else I've learned about in books, movies, and articles and documentaries, but in my direct experience of American politics going back to 1980, there has been a certain ideology that has taken over and that has attempted to dominate all of consciousness, all of thought, all of business, all of government, and that is what we have come to call neoconservatism. And what I am personally observing is there's a kind of unraveling of this whole ideology going on. And when that happens, it is beautiful to see, because something that has really been holding people down for a long time is finally changing. But then there is a vulnerable moment. There is a chance for things to not go well. And I think that when you have one of these moments that's sort of like a really kind of fertile, pregnant moment of flux, it's vital to make sure that you stay involved in the creative process in your own life and in the creative process of the world around you. That is an invitation to take part. Among the properties of eclipses are an intersection of the personal and the collective. They're really big moments of the personal is political. And so we have that going on now. And you can be sure that with this much Pisces, I mean, look at this much Pisces, including in particular something that's really interesting, a conjunction of Mercury and Neptune that'll be building all through the next week. There's the possibility to really not be part of the reality-based community, and the thing to do under this much Pisces influence is to do your best to be part of the reality-based community. And the kind of cautionary notes about that are, for one thing, Borisisi saying it's not necessary to live these happy little lies that make you feel better about yourself and pretending anything is a certain way or isn't a certain way. And then Chiron is there saying that part of what we need to heal is our relationship to the unseen world and our relationship to what you might think of as the inner divine. And so there's a really profound calling there. So this is really a get real moment. But it leads to another get real moment that has been brewing, I think, building since 2010. And now this long process of something building since 2010 looked at one way, or 90 years looked at another way, is this conjunction up here in the corner of my chart. Now I've written about this a few times. I haven't said nearly all that I have to say about it. I'm going to start introducing the topic right now. And what this is here is a conjunction. You can tell it's a conjunction because the planets are right next to each other. And this is Uranus. It goes really quickly. It takes 84 years to go around the sun. And this is Eris. It goes kind of slowly. It takes 557 years, I think, to go around the sun. They keep changing it. But it's a bit over 550 years to go around the sun. Pretty much everyone alive right now, with the exception of people born before like 1920 or something, were born with Uranus in Aries. And when you get to, rather, Eris in Aries. And so what we have approaching is a really big conjunction, an important conjunction. I think the most important one since either the Uranus-Pluto conjunction that created the 1980s, the Uranus-Pluto conjunction that created the 1960s. If you think about the pace at which, for example, the Beatles progressed from "I Want to Hold Your Hand" to "I Am the Walrus," that was the Uranus-Pluto conjunction. That was in 1965 and 1966, and then it set off a chain of events that really lasted another 10 years. There's been another one in fairly recent memory, which was in the late 1980s. Uranus and Neptune got together and created, for example, or were, say, symbolically indicative of a scenario that led to a complete rearrangement of global geopolitics. The world changed. One day there was the USSR, there was the Berlin Wall, there was the Iron Curtain, there was all this stuff. The next day, it seemed all that was gone, and there were all these countries we had never heard the names of, like Latvia and Estonia, and the kind of Iron Curtain mysteriously dissolved with the power of Neptune, and the world changed. Now, there is another one of these Uranus conjunctions to a slow-moving outer planet, and we are right in the threshold of that conjunction. And by that I mean it is about to be exact in the spring. It'll be exact one more time in 2016, and then it'll be exact a third time in 2017. And what this creates is a threshold or an opening through which things come through, such as yourself emerging into a new level of awareness. And this is the kind of conjunction that really can, I think, shake the world. And so there's many, many things happening in astrology, and there's several really important ones happening that indicate distinctive cycles on, say, like a 50 or 100-year cycle. But the Uranus-Eris conjunction, I think, is the big event and, in a sense, the moment we have all been waiting for. And we are now on what I would call the immediate threshold in front of this conjunction, which is this spectacularly beautiful solar eclipse in Pisces. It is happening here, and then the Uranus-Eris conjunction is simultaneously happening here. There's going to be a little bit of a time lag, and remember that this one is happening on so slow of a scale that it's going to take years to unfold and to have its liberating effect on consciousness. This box, this trap that so many people seem to be in, where there is really no future, this sensation that just everything is always getting worse. Well, what changes that is some personal involvement, some personal investment on the part of many people. And I really see the Uranus-Eris conjunction as being a kind of an invitation and an activation of some beautiful energy that will help carry us forward and carry us into the future. And that, of course, is one of the most important purposes of astrology, which is to guide ourselves into a future that we can abide by and abide with. A future that we have either created for ourselves or have adapted to the passage of time in a creative and loving and friendly way. The upshot of all this: get together with people who you care about, get together with people who seem to have some resonance with the ideas that you have, and I think more than anything, allow out the creativity and the spirit of involvement and the spirit of service that are represented by Pisces. Those really are the most important highlights of Pisces: the creativity and the devotion to beauty and to art and to music and to a kind of idealism, and then, of course, the service aspect of Pisces, which is essential and necessary. Okay, I am planning to do these video messages weekly, and so with that in mind, I anticipate seeing you in a little over a week due to a scheduling thing, but I will be back with you in some days from now. Thanks for listening. Don't miss planetwaves.fm. Really spectacular edition planned for Tuesday, the 8th of March, concurrent with this eclipse. Again, that is planetwaves.fm. My name is Francis Coppolino for Planet Waves. It is good to be with you. Stay in touch.